Well, joining me now to discuss this further is Shona, Craven, columnist with The National.
I wasn't necessarily expecting this to be announced at this point in time, but I'm not particularly surprised that Humza Yousaf's not going to stand in 2026, partly because of some of the comments he made just in the summer there about whether he actually even saw his and his family's future in the UK. He was certainly really concerned about the riots that were happening in England and some of the far right and Islamophobic sentiment that he was on the receiving end of. So it's not a huge surprise. I mean, he is still only 39, so it's quite strange to be hearing him talking about the next generation. That footage of him being first elected, he looks like he's fresh out of school. But there are, of course, many candidates, illusion that you're gearing up for 2026 when you're not, so it's quite an honest thing to do. Of course, he has just welcomed, he and his wife, a new baby just in the summer there as well, so he's got his hands full. And again, you know, it would be unusual for someone who's been in government for 15 years to be saying, I want to spend more time with my family, and to that include a wee baby, but that just shows, you know, how quickly he rose at such a young age.
Absolutely, and we heard Lindsay mentioning perhaps being on this decision.
Well, I mean, obviously that's what ultimately triggered his downfall as First Minister. He didn't have an easy time coming into that role, and he didn't have an easy time on the way out. I think he was right that would have come to an end one way or another anyway, and he wanted to be seen to be in control and be the one to end that rather than the one to be dumped. I think he has reflected that the way he went about that, you know, he would maybe have behaved differently, but would the outcome have been significantly different? I'm not sure. If he'd lost the support of the Greens, then, you know, obviously it would have been very difficult to govern without, you know, their votes. So I don't know that things would have necessarily been that different had he not made that decision.
And will it have been tricky going?
Yeah, I think it is difficult for anyone to do that and to still be contributing but not being seen to be taking attention or you know, too much attention from the person who is leading the party or is doing the various jobs that you've done before. It's hard, I suppose, for any of us to relate to.
Maybe on the global stage, is that something that you've kind of got the impression as well?
Yeah, I think he referred in his letter to sort of the most pressing issues in the world being something that he's wanting to look at. And of course you can do that from a Scottish perspective. You could do that as we saw when he was First Minister. It was a very global scope, and he was very outspoken obviously about the situation in Gaza. But yeah, I mean, he has said he'll continue to, you know, campaign for the SNP and for Scottish independence, but I don't quite know how you would square that with potentially moving abroad or at least spending some of the time abroad. But I think sort of based on the various things he said, it wouldn't be that surprising to see some kind of international development type of role, but I'm really not sure. I'll be interested to see.
You don't have
yeah, but I think for health reasons in at least 2 or 3 of the cases, and yeah, people who have been around for quite a long time, and as I say, you know, standing aside, confident that there will be, you know, strong candidates to replace them for their party. So I don't think it's you know, it's not a mass exodus of youthful talent. No offence to the people standing down.
Other opinions are available, of course. Okay, Shona, Craven from The National, thanks so much for your insight on the 9 tonight.